Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of the cEDH cast. Greedy Keeps. My name is Ian, and with me as always is my co-host Braden.
Hello.
Today we are tackling Braden's love child, the almighty Braden deck. We're tackling medium green.
Yes, you may have expected Paco, but no, it is medium green. This is still my baby.
Yeah.
All right. We're diving head first
Woo!
into a mana flooded hand.
Nice. That's
All right.
that's a lot of mana.
Yeah, so it's four lands.
Mm-hmm.
Three of them are pretty medium. There's a tundra, a savanna, and a forest, and a Gaia's Cradle.
Yep.
There's a wild growth and a green sun zenith.
And a Deathrite Shaman. I don't know if it's
And a Deathrite Shaman. So this hand's very tempting. You have your green source for your Deathrite Shaman.
Yep.
Your Deathrite Shaman is probably, I mean, it's very likely it'll tap for mana.
Mm-hmm.
It's what you're probably gonna do is play like the Savannah into a Deathrite Shaman.
Yep.
The following turn, you'll play the Deathrite Shaman will play the Wild Growth.
Mm-hmm.
The Wild Growth will be going on to your Savannah.
Yeah.
Then you'll play the Gaia's Cradle, and you might Green Sun Zenith for like a Bloom Tender, or a Biomancer's Familiar,
Yeah.
or a Collector Oof, depending on
the pod
what you're
composition.
thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to grind, I think Bloom Tender is the target, but I think there's definitely a world where Oof can shut down a good number of decks.
Yeah. And then the following turn, you're just going to play the Thrasios.
Yeah.
You'll have three creatures in play, so Gaia's Cradle is almost an activation by itself.
Right.
And with the Deathrite, it's a full activation.
Mm-hmm.
So you're pretty well set up. And then if you also have if you got the Bloom Tender or the Biomancer's Familiar, that's an additional activation.
Right.
So you're really setting yourself up here for success.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. So it's I think I would keep that. Green Sun Zenith is such a powerful card. Deathrite Shaman's a powerful card.
Yeah.
I was just telling Ian, I actually won a game recently with Deathrite Shaman where I, for like 10 turns, just drained people for 2 every turn, getting rid of people's like interaction in their graveyards.
Right.
And that won me the game,
Mm-hmm.
and that was like the plan.
Right.
Pretty early on, I was like, Deathrite Shaman is just going to win me this game,
Yeah.
and it did. So
One thing to
All right.
note about this hand, and specifically with Deathrite Shaman, is the fact that there is no fetch on your side of the mana base. So you are relying on your opponents there, which is something just to note.
yeah, I think it's fairly reasonable.
Oh,
and
totally.
The wild growth here means that it's actually very likely we're gonna at least be able to like do the turn 2 Thrasios. So like if Deathrite Shaman doesn't tap for mana, let's say you played the Savannah, you'd play the Savannah
And then
on turn 1
yeah.
Deathrite. Turn 2 you play the Tundra, you wild growth onto the Tundra, then
Right.
you tap the Tundra to play Thrasios.
Right.
And now you've ramped yourself 2 turns in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And you've played your Thrasios, and the next turn you play the Gaia's Cradle, which actually means the Thrasios is kind of like a ramp spell too.
Yeah.
So that's extremely powerful,
Yeah,
and you'll
yeah.
actually start that turn with enough mana. Let's say if the Deathrite taps for mana, and you have 2 creatures in play, plus 2 land drops,
Right.
that might be enough for a Green Sun Zenith.
For a Seaborn.
With the Wild Growth.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, you'll have enough. If you do that, you'll actually have enough mana for turn 3 Seedborn.
Which is pretty
So-
okay. I've heard that
Yeah.
card wins games.
Yeah, it does. So, it's a pretty powerful turn. Like, you can basically like threaten the win on turn 3, although like you're really not. I wouldn't
Yeah.
do that, but you're capable of doing it.
Yeah.
So,
Great.
I was in a pod the other day where I was the only. There were 2 blue decks.
Mm-hmm.
There was 2 medium green decks, and then 2 like Staxy decks.
Yeah.
That were both on like creatures.
Sure.
And the player before me tapped out to try to win the game, and I stopped them. And then on my turn, I just like tapped out for a Seaborn Muse on turn 3 with a Thrasios in play, and that was game over.
Yeah.
So sometimes, like if the game goes in that direction, Green Sun Zenith on 3 or 4 for Seaborn is like pretty realistic. But I wouldn't with this hand since there's so little protection.
Yeah. That's what I was
But
going to
it's
say.
an option.
It's a low interaction hand, so definitely something to note.
All right, so first 7. All right. This is a fascinating hand.
It's a little awkward, right?
Yeah, sure. Although, like, it does have enough acceleration that I think we're just like happy to play it.
Yeah.
So if you go turn one, Scalding Tarn for a drop, Fin Horn Elves.
Yeah.
Turn two, you'll untap, play your Morphic Pool, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
If you drew a blue card, you can exile it to Chromox, so then you can play Thrasios, hold up Lim Duel's Vault.
Yes. Yeah.
You also on turn two can play Thrasios, hold up, keep holding the Chromox for as long as you'd like, but you can hold the Fierce Guardianship.
Yeah.
So I think this hand's fine.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
like, okay.
Is that the Chromox? It's a little. The Chromox itself is a little awkward, but the rest of the hand is so efficient that you're not really worried about it.
Yeah, I mean, also a thing you can do here is like play a turn one Thrasios into a turn one Thrasios into a turn two Tymna, which is always a good start.
Yeah,
So
that's something.
if you're expecting a pretty open field in the early turns
Yeah.
and not expecting a Wrath,
Yeah.
you can always just do that. Sure, you lose the elf,
Sure.
but you also have a turn one Thrasios that can then attack on turn two into your Tymna
Nice.
with the Fierce Guardianship backup.
Yeah. I was gonna say
that's actually
if
probably
you-
the best thing to do.
If you're in a pod where you're worried about needing a turn one answer or a turn two answer, you're playing against a aggressive Turbo Adnos player, maybe you want that Thrasios out earlier than you normally would.
Yeah, I think that's a good point too. So yeah, I think actually like revisiting this hand, I think the turn with Thrasios is probably the way to go with the turn two Tymna with Fierce Guardianship up.
Sure.
Although if you draw something that like wants to get pitched,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with just like playing the Finhorn Elves and then on turn two, playing a Thrasios into Limdol's Vault. So it's really up to you. I mean, if you think about it, you'll have 5 mana, so you could like Limdol's Vault for Seedmore Muse if you think you can get it. You'll have Fierce Guardianship backup.
Yeah. Fair.
So it's not even that unlikely. That's a very, very aggressive way to play the deck.
Yeah, which
But
is not the usual.
It really depends on the pod. So like, if you watch the Play to Win game recently, where they had Godo, Gitrog, Isan versus Medium Green, like that's probably a pod you'd want to do that in.
Right.
So, all right, yeah, this is a pretty good hand. I'd probably keep this since it has so many options that are all very powerful.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right.
Ugh.
This hand's probably good.
Is
Like-
it? I mean, turn to heuristic study, which is not bad.
Yeah, so one thing I would say though is that it's slightly better than that. You can go turn one Dork, then turn two Savannah for like a Mana Crypt,
Wait, you mean
and then Mana
Enlightened
Crypt
Tutor?
Heuristic Study. Sorry, what did I say?
Savannah.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Enlightened
You
Tutor.
tap the
I
Savannah
see.
to play
Okay.
the Enlightened Tutor, yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't. Yeah. I was gonna say that. Okay, there we go.
And then that does take you to an interesting position where now you have 4 mana on turn 2. On turn 3, you'll have enough mana to maybe you'll have enough mana to be able to play Thrasios, hold up an activation, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe even play Biomancer's Familiar, hold up the Mana Crypt.
Right.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
This hand's pretty awkward though. There's there's quite a few dead cards here.
Yes.
I wouldn't be offended by anyone mulliganing this, to be honest.
But at the same time, the play you mentioned where you go for I think if you do keep this, you have to go for that Mana Crypt and Enlightened Tutor for it to be not awkward.
Yeah. There's also the other direction you go, where you go turn 1 Savannah Dork, turn 2 you still do the Enlightened Tutor thing, but then you play Biomancer's Familiar. And then you on turn 3 you play Thrasios and you have like 2 activations up.
Sure.
But that seems pretty awkward too. So I might actually mulligan this after thinking about it. But you're never really sad to see this hand. I mean, like, you'd be pretty greedy to mulligan this, I think. I will say the Ad Nauseam and the Biomancer's Familiar both being like dead cards effectively.
Yeah.
And the Enlightened Tutor not being anything but like acceleration is kind of frustrating.
And there's definitely pods where you can tell you're going to get rewarded for playing Heuristic Study more than other pods. And I think if you're in one of those pods where Heuristic Study is going to win you a game, then you jam this,
Yeah. And one nice thing is that you can play the Savannah, Cast and Lightning Tutor, they can like counter it or something. Like let's say they like mental misstep it or Swan Song it. Then you still have enough mana
To
to like
Biomancer familiar.
yeah,
Yeah.
Biomancer's familiar. So yeah, let's say they counter your Mystic Study. You still have enough mana to then the following turn like play a Thrasios
Yeah.
or Tymna. The black mana is short here, which is kind of rough with the Ad Nauseam. So
Definitely.
again, that's another reason to mulligan this. I really wouldn't judge anyone for mulliganing this
Yeah.
hand, to be honest. I'm actually gonna mulligan it and see what happens.
Sure.
It's like, all right, this one's pretty rough.
Yeah. A little bit.
There's just isn't enough
for those
acceleration here.
Yeah. So we're looking at Mental Misstep, Swan Song, Smothering Tide, Spellseeker, Deathrite Shaman, Marsh Flats, and Delay. Realize we didn't do that for the last
Yeah.
one.
So 1, 2, 3 counter spells, 2 ramp pieces, a Smothering Tide, then a Spellseeker. Just doesn't get there, especially with Deathrite being so inconsistent.
Yeah.
Let's go to 6.
All right, we're looking at
All right, this is sick.
Windswept Heath, Consult, Labman, Misty Rainforest, Flusterstorm, Boreal Druid, and Veil of Summer.
This hand's great.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of this hand.
That's a pretty early win.
Yeah, you can actually play the turn 2 Labman and then it have double protection on turn 3.
Now, do you play a Naked Labman in this circumstance when you have Veil of Summer and Flusterstorm in your hand?
I think it really depends. Again, it depends on the table.
Yeah.
A lot of blue players, probably not. I'd probably just like hold this for a little bit.
Sure.
However, I will say, like, I mean, like, this hand is not half bad. I mean, we do have to bin one of these cards. It's probably the Veil of Summer.
Yeah.
So that means we do have less protection. You have a turn 2 Tymna here. And then you also can just, like, play your Labman the following turn. Like, oh, I just need an attacker for Tymna. Blah.
Yeah.
And then go to combat, attack with Tymna, get in the draw, then cast Consult and win.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it's pretty. I think one thing that is interesting about these hands, I kind of want to point out. I mean, this is a keep at a 6, to be honest.
Yeah.
But one thing I want to point out about these hands is that you'll notice that like you have the option to like really go for it on turn 2 or turn 3 pretty often.
Right.
And that's why I think I'd categorize this like pretty heavily as a mid-range deck.
Mm-hmm.
Because you, in my opinion, mid-range decks are able to, hop between aggressive and slow pretty easily,
Sure.
depending on the pod composition.
Right.
My friends last night were joking that we played a 3-hour game that I won, and the week before I won on turn 2 or turn 3 2 games in a row.
Yeah.
You know, the deck is able to like make those decisions on the fly.
Right.
Like what kind of game are you prepared to like be playing with, and what the actual pod composition is.
Yeah.
So this is a hand that like kind of begs to be played a little bit more aggressively, but at the same time, like you don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a turn 2 Tymna is like pretty powerful if your meta is if the pod is like very like ad nauseum heavy.
Yeah.
And actually, like, even just going, like, turn 2 Tymna, turn 3, like, Thrasios hold up Flusterstorm is, like, not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really up to the individual player with how they want to take this hand, but I think it's pretty good.
Yeah. Cool.
So, and I want to talk about Labman for a sec. Some people might be curious, like, why I'm on Labman instead of Jace. I found that so Labman's very powerful with rule of law effects and against rule of law effects. And it's also very powerful with Neoform and Eldritch Evolution. So the ability for the card to like play into like both of those things is very good in this deck, considering the fact that we're all in on Consult, which means the only hate piece we like our win conditions lose to is like rule of law and Torpor Orb, and Labman gets through both of those.
Yeah.
So it feels pretty strong to have that. Jace I found was like too difficult to cast a lot of the time.
That makes sense.
So like we produce a lot of green and colorless mana in this deck, and not requiring us to use triple blue is like very important.
That's fair. Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna do to a fresh 7.
Sounds great.
I'm pretty happy with this hand.
Really?
Which sounds odd, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It does depend on the pod.
This hand
and like we're
hurts.
definitely using our life total as a resource.
Oh yeah.
But I just like that this hand allows us to do some stuff with. But let's just play a turn 2 Tymna,
Right.
which is like not bad, and then after the Tymna we can play a Thrasios, with quite a bit of mana left over. Additionally, we have the Brainstorm to like dig for some stuff. We have the Chain of Vapor for interaction. We have the Collector Roof, which is great against our opponents who are playing Storm.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel pretty good about this, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not great. It's just like this. Guy's Cradle's broken. I guess I should say this. Guy's Cradle's broken.
Duh. Yeah.
But like, yeah, duh, it's broken. But like, Guy's Cradle is really broken.
Yeah.
I mean, like, our commander is able to convert. Our commanders are able to convert mana into card advantage, into more mana so efficiently that it's kind of ridiculous to even get a Guy's Cradle at all.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that we have a turn 1 Dork, all of our colors, and hate in our hand, and interaction in our hand, and a Guy's Cradle is like pretty sick.
Yeah.
This isn't like a snap keep. But I can confidently say this is a keep. It's about that simple. Our life total is definitely going to be pressured here.
Yeah.
So if you're anticipating like that to happen a lot this game, this might be more questionable.
Yeah.
Although we do have Chain of Vapor, which means we can bounce some stuff that might be pressuring our life total.
That's fair.
So that's something to think about.
That's fair.
Again, this is not a great hand. I don't know how excited I sounded, but this is just a very keepable hand. It's like lots of mana, lots of interaction, some niche hate against our worst matchups, which are like Storm.
Mm-hmm.
They really have a hard time with Collector Roof, I think.
Yeah. I feel like the
especially
blue
like their
choke is
post-Nas.
really going to hurt you, though.
That's fair. I mean, we do have Tarnished Citadel, and we can play a turn 2 Tymna, so we can start digging for cards. And
Totally,
I have a Brainstorm.
Totally. Yeah.
So, yeah, that Guy's Cradle taps for green. It doesn't. We're never going to have a problem tapping it for green. Now, our life total might become a problem here since our only Dork is one that pings us, and our
only taps
Tarnished
for black,
Citadel
yeah.
bolts us.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you think about it, like, this is a turn 1 Elves of Deep Shadow into a turn 2 Tymna. Then the Guy's Cradle taps for 2 mana. We have the Elves of Deep Shadow and the Tarnished Citadel.
Mm-hmm.
We can play the Collector Roof and then maybe play a Thrasios or something like that.
Yeah.
So the curve is actually pretty nice, and I think Collector Roof is very powerful. We play almost no artifacts, so it's like very one-sided. We break parity extremely powerfully. So, all right.
Yep.
If you see like triple Yisan here, I would not keep saying. We're kind of keeping it on the back of like Collector Roof,
Yeah.
and Chain of Vapor.
Sure.
You know. All right.
Let's do that 7. It's so heartbreaking.
Yeah, if we're on the play, this is like actually almost good enough, but it's not. So
If we're not on the play, right?
sorry, we're not in the play, because like theoretically we go like turn 1 Gemstone Caverns or turn 0 Gemstone Caverns into Carpet into
Lana
Dork.
Realms, yeah. So if
And
you're
that's like pretty good.
if you're going second behind an Urza player, I think you keep this hand.
Yeah, probably. I mean, that's a great start. We have both our combo pieces in hand.
Yeah.
We probably exile the Mana Drain.
Fair.
We're like on track to win. It's just not a great hand, so we can mulligan this.
Yeah.
All right, another awkward one. It really depends on how greedy you are here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just
There's some
rough.
cute stuff here.
So
Yeah, assuming we're not in the play, we probably just pitch the Mox Diamond to our Gemstone Caverns, and then we probably dig for a land with the Brainstorm before our turn. And if we get there, we probably feel pretty good because then we play like a turn 1 Dark Confidant.
yeah.
But I probably wouldn't keep this either. Pretty awkward.
yeah.
Is there 6? This is less awkward.
Is that the third Gemstone Caverns hand in a row?
Yeah, it is.
That's weird. Ooh,
So if we have
turn
Gemstone
0
Caverns,
Vamp
his hand's
Tutor?
broken.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a turn 1 Faber Welder, probably, which is like nuts.
Turn 1?
Yeah, so
so you get a crit?
yeah,
Okay.
and then we cast Gemstone Caverns for Freed from the Real, and then we we play our land, we'll Wild Growth onto the land, then we get Faber Welder. Then the next turn we play Thrasios, and we can start grinding with Thrasios. We have Mana Drain up. So yeah,
Okay.
that feels pretty good.
Yeah.
like that.
This hand's pretty strong. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of absurd. Although we do have to bin one, so we might bin the Cyclonic Rift or the Mana Drain.
I think you hit the drain, is my instinct, but yeah. Just with the...
We do have double blue.
That's fair. That is fair.
It is a Thrasios
So
activation.
what land do you get? Do you get Tropical Island with your Widowfed Hills?
Yeah, Trop.
Okay.
Trop for sure.
Okay. Yeah, that gets
Trop's
a lot.
probably the lane we fetch the most.
Yeah,
out of
same
any
with
lane
me in
deck.
Evolution. Yeah, so I'm just very used
Yeah,
to
this
that.
hand's sick. I mean, like, even if you just like want to like play a turn one Thrasios, this hand's fine.
Yeah. On top
Turn one,
of,
like, even if you
yeah.
just want to hold the Vampire Tutor, which I think is probably wrong, but if you just
Yeah.
want to hold the Vampire Tutor, it's still pretty good.
Yeah, I'm pretty much about this hand. It's pretty gross.
All right, first 7. This hand feels good. I like this.
It seems
I'm
like
kinda
one that's
curious
going to rely a lot on Thrasios. That's
Yeah.
my impression, seeing us.
I'm okay with that. We kind of built the deck to be that way.
Sure.
So, because we have 2 commanders in the command zone, Guy's Cradle like always taps for mana. So that's
Sure.
not something we really need to worry about here.
Yeah.
We don't have a scrub land in our deck, so we really have no white source for Timna. That's something to be like sort of aware of.
Yeah.
We also have to fetch our.
I mean, you definitely get
Fetch
an
for
underground
Underground
sea.
Sea.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just noting some things here.
Oh,
So
which means
we
you
have to-
can't brainstorm, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was trying to say. It means that the brainstorm's not as powerful, which kind of stinks.
Yeah.
What you probably do is you play the turn 1 Soul Ring, then the next turn you put the Wild Growth on the Underground Sea, then you
Play it, Thrasios.
play Thrasios, and then the next turn you start grinding activations.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of the impression I
Seems
got from
fine.
it too.
It seems fine.
Yeah.
Just fine. All right.
Are we assuming we kept
seems
that last
good.
one?
Yeah. We're
Oh,
assuming
I didn't know
that.
you added Deadly Rollick to this deck.
Yeah, we're on Deli Rollick. It's been really good in my local meta so far.
Cool.
I've gotten an opportunity to play some paper games. It's been really good.
Yeah. This seems like a great hand.
So, yeah, I really like this hand. We can play a turn 2 Timna or turn 2 Thrasios. It might depend on like if we get Taxian Probe into like a Curse Totem or something.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's fine. Recent
Wait, you said
include Noxious
Curse
Revival.
Totem?
Yeah. So if we get Taxian Probe someone and we see a Curse Totem.
Oh, I see. I thought you meant if you
Like,
draw
if
one off
oh,
of
I see
Taxian
no.
Probe.
Like let's say I see a Kess player.
Sure.
I like a Taxian Probe. If I see a Pyroclasm, I won't play Timna. If I
Yeah.
see under a Curse Tome, I'll play Timna.
Yeah.
Noble Hierarch and Timna is a very powerful synergy because you actually get in for 3 off Timna,
Yeah.
which is very useful.
Definitely. Because a lot of people build
That
around.
means you can get
yeah.
through. It means you can get through Thrasioses, which is like very important.
Oh, yeah.
So, I think this hand's good.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
At turn 2 we can hold up the Deadly Rollick.
Yeah.
Then on turn 3 we can play the Biomancer's Familiar and the Thrasios, which isn't that bad.
Yeah.
Or we can just play if we draw into actual interaction, we might just play the Thrasios.
Yeah.
We might want to feign interaction for some reason.
Sure.
We use some tutor twice, and we're like, "What you doing over there, bud?"
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, there's really only one dead card here, maybe 2 dead cards. Noxious Revival, Biomancer's Familiar, really the only bad cards here. Deadly Rollick comes up in most games I've played so far.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
We're definitely a more permanent base format than I think we were at one point.
yeah, for sure. Although Ad Nauseam, is like
Still-
the scourge of the format
yeah.
right now. It's funny, like, there's like 2 ends of the format that are developing, where there's like the end of the format where everything's super grindy and permanent based,
Yep.
and then there's like in the shadows the Ad Nauseam deck is just like
Waiting to strike.
casting
Yeah.
turn 2 Ad Nauseas.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so I'd keep this and feel pretty good about it.
Nice.
I'd keep this and feel pretty good about it.
Double Dork, turn 1, right?
Yeah. There's also the potential for Collector Roof if your opponent's just like, because we're assuming we're not in the play.
Right.
If we're not in the play and our opponent's just like absolutely, fill the board with rocks, we might play the turn 1 Collector
Sure.
Roof and just take the hit.
Yeah.
And then we can play a Timna on turn 2, attack with the Oof,
Yeah.
start generating card advantage.
That's fair.
That's the power of Timna, is that we can like tap out for these like creatures and then use them to draw cards the following turn.
Right.
So
I do miss playing Timna a little bit.
Timna's broken.
It's a very good
But
card.
yeah, I think Double Dork is probably the most common thing here.
Sure.
And then the following turn, we probably... What, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 mana, 5 mana?
Yeah.
We might just play Timna and Thrasios on turn 2.
Yeah, seems good to me.
Yeah, alright. Fresh 7. This looks pretty good, right? Turn 1... so we have Noble Hierarch, Force Negation, Gitaxian Probe, Soul Ring, Island, Mana Consultation, Nurture, and Peatland.
Yeah.
So the turn 1 play is probably Noble Hierarch. Then on turn 2, we probably play the Soul Ring, play Thrasios, hold up the Force Negation. I'm probably not going to use the Gitaxian Probe.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say. I feel like normally in this, you're instinctively gonna go for the Git Probe, but I think you definitely hold it up for the Force.
Yeah, until you draw another blue card, you're really that's like worse.
Yeah.
You know, if you draw into like a, I don't know. Yeah, you probably just hold on to this Gitaxian Probe.
There's not a lot of better cards. Or
Yeah.
worse cards. I mean, yeah.
Maybe a Preordain, but we're not even on Preordain.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, this feels good. I mean, this is why we're playing the deck, so we can tap out and hold up interaction. And then on turn 3, we were just like, all right, I have a Thrasios, a Noble Hierarch, a Soul Ring, 2-ish lands, maybe 3 lands.
Right.
If we made the land drop on turn 3. That feels pretty good.
Yeah.
That's 1, 2, 3, 4 mana for the Thrasios activation. Maybe a Hierarch if we hit an interactive spell we need to play. It's good. All right, I think this is going to be our last one. All right, pretty awkward. So we have a Tanapat, a Wooded Foothills, a Dovin's Veto, a Force Negation, a Wild Growth, a Gilded Drake, and a Spellseeker.
I hate this hand.
Yeah.
I think you never keep this.
Yeah, you don't ever keep this. All right, this
much
hand feels
better.
pretty
Yeah.
good. So we have a Boreal Druid, a Carpet of Flowers, a Mox Diamond, a Biomancer's Familiar, a Waterlogged Grove, and a Polluted Delta. So there's a lot of interesting things going on here. It's very conflicting for me personally. What we're probably actually doing is playing turn 1 Carpet, turn 1 Boreal Druid. There's also the potential for the turn 1 Carpet into a turn 1 Biomancer's Familiar.
Sure, if Carpet's activated, yeah.
Yeah, and then if that happens, then you go to turn 2, you play your Thrasios, you'll have probably another mana off the Carpet Flyers, play the Boreal Druid. I just don't think that's worth it. So yeah, we're probably just playing the turn 1 double ramp.
That was my exact impression too, is just get the ramp on the board.
Yeah, we'll hold Biomancer's. Biomancer's Familiar is a card that is worse than Gitaxian Probe, for example. It's a card we're fine exiling.
Sure, right.
We're very happy it's a blue card. Yeah. It's Reap is kind of meh here. I mean, this is just not. It's not a fantastic hand. It's just it's a hand we keep.
Yeah,
got some mana. Got some mana acceleration.
Yeah, we
can play the. We might be able to even play a turn 2 Timna Thrasios if everything goes perfectly correctly.
Okay.
So like if we play the Boreal Druid in the Carpet, then the next turn we, if the Carpet makes a mana or 2 and we draw a land, I think we have enough mana there. Yeah. So if things go perfectly right, we can do that, but probably not.
Yeah, fair.
I guess in the scenario where Carpet Flowers does make 2 mana though, the turn 1 Biomancer's Familiar is significantly better. Or we could even play a Biomancer's Familiar, and a Thrasios on the same turn.
Right.
If things go exceptionally well.
Yep.
So. All right. That's our last hand.
Yeah.
Woo. Any thoughts on the deck, Ian?
I wouldn't call it big. I wouldn't call it small. I'd call it right in the middle. It's the most medium of all green decks.
Thank you, Ian.
No, but seriously, it's obviously a very powerful deck. It's probably a contender for the best deck in the format right now. That is my opinion, not Braden's. So this,
can it beat Paco? Who knows?
Oh God, we're not going there. But no, medium green's very powerful. It's got a bunch of powerful engines, and if you're just kind of looking for a place post Sushi Hulk, which I know a lot of people are, and they just want to, grind some value out while still not feeling dead to the ad nauseum decks, I feel like it's a very good place to be.
Yeah, I think the most powerful thing about the deck is that you can play multiple games in the same game.
Yeah.
So like you can play the aggressive early game, and then if things don't go too well, you can start playing the aggressive, not even aggressive,
The grindy late
slow
game,
controlling. Yeah. Someone casting a Twister can just completely reset your entire position in the game, and you have to be ready to just like completely change what plan you're on.
Totally.
You might go from like a control deck to like an aggressive combo deck in just like one turn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Someone twisters you right into console boss's oracle. You're like, all right, we're jamming it.
Yeah, we're there.
So, and that's fairly common in decks in our format. It's just that medium green is like, I think especially adept at that because like an Eldritch Evolution can get you a Spell Seeker, which can get you a Demonic Consultation extremely easily.
Sure.
So there's like a super high density of tutors in the deck because all the tutors chain into your win conditions.
Right.
So I think that's where the power of the deck is really it's really found. That tutor density allows you to play in a more adaptive game.
Totally. Cool.
All right. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed our discussion on medium green in this episode of Greedy Keeps. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. We have a little subscribe button, and when you click that, it sends me an email.
It does. It sends us both a fun email.
Yeah, and then I evaluate my self-worth based off of the number of emails I get from our YouTube channel every week. So it's great. Please help.
Are you gonna just nihilistically end every Greedy Keeps for the next couple months? Is that...
That's the plan.
Okay. Thank you for joining us, everybody. I hope you have an amazing week. Bye.
Thanks. Have a nice one.